IT is a pretty broad topic. Like there's a whole heap of different facets to IT. Um, One of those facets is SEO. And SEO to me is a dark art all in its own right. Now I could spend the time learning SEO and then do a half-assed job, or I could pay somebody who's an expert in it and just get it done right the first time. I am not interested in SEO, so the result that I would have got myself wouldn't have been up to scratch. The other side is I'm very analytical by nature, not artistic. So having a website that had the right look and feel, as well as the right tone in terms of the content, it's something that I would have struggled with on my own. I know it looks good when it's done, but I can't create that because I'm not artistic. That's why we engaged JJ. Interesting approach with JJ was she went straight into who we are, what our business value proposition is, and how we'd like to be portrayed on the website, which to me was a unique response. It wasn't about, straight onto keywords and how we get up into the top search results. It was more about how JJ could work with us to reflect who we are in the website accurately. So there was a whole lot of time spent just understanding our business, how we go about things, what our value proposition is, what our differentiation is, and then she was able to translate that into the look, feel, and vibe, for want of a better word, of the website. So it was a unique approach. Throughout my career, I've worked with a lot of marketing agencies where the focus has been on marketing metrics that don't necessarily reflect business growth or business value. For example, the number of impressions that your website is getting, or the number of hits. To me, a lot of those metrics don't necessarily mean a lot. JJ's focus wasn't on metrics. It was simply on how do we want to show up online. And that was just a unique approach that really resonated with us. We're a human business. It is about emotions with what we do. And having somebody that wanted to understand that and how we go about things was important for us. Anybody can jump on ChatGPT or one of the AI tools and come up with some content that reads well and sounds good, but doesn't necessarily reflect you and who you are and what you do. I don't think a third party overseas would be able to come up with the content that reflects who we are, like a local person like JJ was able to do. And the reason JJ could do that was because she took the time to understand our business. So I think that's the key one. The second one is, this is our online presence. When people search for a buyer's agent, this is how we show up. And being able to reach out to somebody locally, is pretty important to us. If we wanted to add a page or we wanted to make a change to content, JJ's in our time zone. She's incredibly responsive and we can get it done very, very quickly. The other part is just peace of mind. We know that our website is being backed up regularly. We know that there's a whole heap of different components that go into making up a website. All of them are third-party tools. They all have software updates. A lot of those updates are security related, and just knowing that all those components are being patched and updated, and any security vulnerabilities are being ticked off or corrected early in the piece, just gives us a huge peace of mind. If you get it wrong, then you're vulnerable to bad actors and cyber attacks. Also, aside from the IT side, if your website doesn't reflect who you are, then how can you expect people to know what they're getting if they engage with you, by looking at your website? So I think it's absolutely critical that you trust that it's backed up, it's recoverable, and it's secure. But it's equally important to make sure that the message that's portrayed via the website reflects who you are and what you're trying to do. So yeah, look, I think the first thing is we show up. So we created our first version of the website. We used Squarespace. It looked okay. It wasn't fantastic. Certainly wasn't SEO optimized. And if I typed a search, buyer's agent Gold Coast, I think we showed up on page 50 or about 50 in the Google search results. In other words, we didn't show up. After engaging with JJ, we're on page 1. So we show up. And that's pretty important. There's a favourite saying of mine, there's no point being the world's best secret in business. If you have got a message, if you've got a value proposition, you need to show up. That's what JJ enabled us to do online. Our services haven't changed between our previous website and our new website. How those services are packaged and presented to our potential clients, that has changed. And we know it's having an impact in that we're getting online inquiries via the website saying we'd like more information on your tailored fit package. For example, that terminology, the tailored fit package, is throughout the website as part of our services, and it's part of the packaging that JJ did. So we know that the content is resonating with clients. I know for myself, if I jump on a website looking for a service and the content doesn't resonate, I don't reach out, like I move on to a new website. So the simple fact that we're getting inquiries, A, because we show up, and B, because the content resonates, and it is truly reflective of who we are and what we do, we're getting the results. Because I've got an IT background, I know the risks if the website isn't backed up, if the different components that make up the website aren't patched and up to date, and if security vulnerabilities aren't patched, what could happen? I know the risks of not doing that. I don't have the time to look at all that. Knowing that JJ is all over it, making sure that that's all done, that's a huge peace of mind, especially for somebody like myself. In business, there's so many things to worry about and focus on. Not having to worry about that, which is such a critical part of any business, is invaluable. I think if I'm being brutally honest, I'd have to say it's pride. Having an IT background, I'm not an expert when it comes to website design or SEO, but I know I could learn it. I could spend the time working out how to do it myself. So why should I pay somebody else to do something that I'm quite capable of doing myself? And in retrospect, personally, I think that's a really stupid approach in that I don't have a passion for it. It's not my field of expertise. So yeah, I could probably do it, but it would be a half-assed job, and the results wouldn't be reflective of who we are and the results that we've got now. So I think that's a critical point. Focus on what you're good at and what your strengths are, and engage people like JJ, experts in their own field for areas where you're not a guru. For us, absolutely the website design and SEO, we're not experts at. Our business is a very emotional, people-first business. We get huge satisfaction out of that engagement and seeing the results for our clients. When we engage with JJ, as I mentioned earlier, she didn't go straight into providing stats on how she could help us. She spent the time trying to understand our vibe, essentially, and that resonated. Working with JJ on this was a similar experience to us working with our clients to get our clients the best result. You could tell that JJ's focus was helping us, not just getting another tick on the board. The business has doubled year on year for the last 2 years. That level of growth has accelerated since we got the website done. I talked about it before. Some of the queries that we're getting via the website show that the prospective clients have read through, our offering, and it's resonated, so they wanted to find out more information. I wouldn't attribute all of our growth purely to showing up on Google and the website, but I know that we wouldn't be seeing the same level of growth if we hadn't engaged with JJ.